Swami Prakash Singh, Thakur Srinivas. The family is from there. So I visited them in Lucknow and we go. Their village is village Segovia. Whereas if you go up on the main road, and Segovia is where you turn off. It's called Segovia. And you go inside there, the village, you know what I mean? He's head of geriatric psychiatry. He's a Trust Point Psychiatric Hospital in Nashville. We've been a long time. My name is Hanumat Presaka. It's a name for Lord Maharaja, right? Hanumat Presaka, the symbol of Hanuman. Okay. And I was born on Guam in the Marianas Islands, right? It's within bombing distance of Japan, the Marianas Islands. And so the United States during World War II, they established a base on that one island, and they still, it's what's called a protectorate or something like that, not a full state. It's in Puerto Rico. So my parents were there at the end of World War II, and they got married. She was without me. Then we came back to Arizona. My mother's family had been pioneers. So I have some memories of being a little child in the desert and the sunshine. So my body grew up in that kind of weather. Then Southern California, Northern California, and I started in electrical engineering. Okay. Before I ever graduated from high school, I had my amateur radio operator license. And I operated a 1,000 watt amateur radio station. And we were building super heterodyne, five-stage super heterodyne AM radios with over-the-counter 1287 dual pentatonic vacuum tubes. Nobody knows what vacuum tubes are. The transistors were just coming in. So it's interesting. Technology changing. So then, so I started in electrical engineering. At that time, science was so many things. Science was to go to other planets and discover monsters and kill them with other reasons. So much, read magazines on science fiction, volume changing. Suggesting. So different people have different aspirations at different times, and different cultures. Where did Columbus? Hello? No, it's very loud with an echo. No echo, please. Okay. One of the fundamental things you teach when engineering is, if it works, don't fix it. Don't fix it. So science, thank you. Science engineering. When did Columbus discover America? You know? Now we'll see if you're Americans. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. How old was Lord Chaitanya at that time? When was Lord Chaitanya born? 1486. Yeah? 1486, 1492. So even Columbus discovered America, Lord Chaitanya was 6 years old. Right? There's some proportion of what people knew about the world, what the Arabs knew about So, World War II was a big, big advance in science. And science became so powerful, radar and so many medical things and so much fantastic advancement in aviation, especially in atomic energy and electronics. So the whole when I started at university, some science was powerful. We discovered different things. Actually, some time ago when we were in South America, we go usually twice a year for South America, and Java Krishna, the same age as I am, and reminded me that when we were growing up, maybe like third or fourth year of high school, there was kind of this wave going around of lamentation for old people. Right? And I was maybe like 14 other people. We were all lamenting for the old people, because science was discovering everything. We're going to go to different planets, and we're going to have to discover how to become immortal. And that would be happening within a few years. And the old people, they just was on immortality. Lamenting for them. If they only lived a few more years, would have been immortal. That was the idea. And it would be faster than night drive. Things were going quite a fantastic process. So there's so much faith in science. Okay, but I had a kind of pragmatic, so I took electrical engineering. Electrical engineering was right at the forefront of physics and transistors and everything else, but you could see the results and so on. But then pretty quickly, talking to professors and everything else, simultaneously, the war in Vietnam started, right? And war is always again an education. We had education from the Second World War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. And all these things were happening. Yogis were coming in, and all different ideas. And LSD was discovered, all these things. So it was very much a lot of experiences of the physical world and the psychological world, which are quite different than what the United States had at that time. Sigmund Freud became a psychologist, and Carl Jung came after him. They were already beginning to discover all these subtle psychological aspects. And, we all think we see the same world, but yeah, different cultures have a different view of the world. There's one family of tightrope walkers, the flying woman, the flying women, many generations of tightrope walkers. And most little kids, you're trying to get them to walk, walk the first step. So what Lynn does, the first step that he takes is on a tightrope. This high on the ground. I mean, that never let them walk on the ground. So all the time they're growing up, they have to learn, how to walk on a tightrope. One very famous incident, they were in the Thunderdome, whatever it is in Dallas, we were for a big show, maybe a week, or other things. And the tightrope was maybe like 2 times as high as the moon off the ground. The performance was that Bobby and Eddie were on bicycles, no net, on a tightrope. They launched on 2 bicycles, and on the head they had a bar, and on that was Susie, on a motorcycle. Little Susie, she was on her head, and they would go up on her back, and this again is what, 3 stories, 4 stories off the ground, with no net. So we're practicing. Somebody was using a small camera recording, and their grandfather was giving them things about how to do it, how to attack them, and all this kind of stuff. So right in the middle of it, somebody turned off the lights. Okay, there's Bobby and Eddie in absolute dark, 150 feet off. He was ready out there, and had a little Susie upstairs on her head. Well, he was recorded by somebody's small camera. And then at first the grandfather who had a broken back in the phone said, okay, everybody okay? Bobby, Freddie, you okay? Okay. Susie, you okay? I'm okay. He said, turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. So I think it was 65 seconds that 65 seconds, bouncing on your head, on your brother, on your two cousins, 150 feet off the ground. I'm going to try that after the class. Yeah. It's like they perceive a different world from we do. It's very, very tactile. Some cultures, for example, Algonquin Indians, in upstate New York, they're very, very visual and very tactile in how they experience the world. If a dog comes in looking for its master, they look. It smells, right? Maybe 1,000 times more sensitive than a human being. So we live in different worlds, and even our cultures and everything else make different things like that. I know many cross-cultural studies of space and how we use it. Like if you notice right now, nobody except the infant is touching anybody else, right? Be very careful to keep a little space there. If it was traditional Arabic culture, when you're talking to somebody, you have to be close enough to show their breath on your face. Different cultures have different space, different way of doing it. Don't think about it. Many, many, many times, Indians, when they come to work in the United States, after a week or so, somebody goes to them and says, Chief, I want to tell you something. Don't take any offense. This is a cultural thing. But you're standing too close to people. And women and stuff, especially a little bit. Yeah. So all these things, it's consciousness, right? It's the love, it's the background, it's the perspective. This is Algonquin Indian guys are very tactile. And they building these big buildings. They go walk around on 8-inch television girders with no safety level. We sit down together and we like hanging out with, 10 stories of oil and having lunch. So when you ask them, aren't you afraid when you look down? And their faces, their eyes are riveted on their face, and they say, I never look down. So now I'm using my eyes to rather gather tactile information from their skin. Yeah. So we have different little senses. Different kinds of combinations, perspectives. And then, of course, there's the mind. And the mind is mind's buddhi. Perspective, attitude, how you're processing your thoughts. And of course, in our whole Western scientific culture, this is, we're trying to explain everything through the brain. Prophets of the essential area of this evolution. That's the area where we have to approach it. And everything starts with matter. And the matter evolves and becomes viruses. Okay? When these viruses evolve, they become one-celled animals. And the one-celled animals evolve by chance. They eventually become software engineers. It's a long process. And then they start to evolve into this. So this whole idea of evolution, Darwin, and everything else, is their structure. So when we get culture, we get science, we get all these things, and it's developed one after another. And so there's the explanation of what is the mind, what is consciousness, it's all this matter evolving. And Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I was simply said, I started electrical engineering, then I said I loved it. I changed to biological engineering, did brain surgery on rats, and studied. But then I saw it's just more machines, chemical machines. So then I said, okay, what is it? So I changed to psychology. And in psychology at that time, at least they believed that human beings were real. There's a group called humanism. So yeah, human beings are real. That won't start there. And some other things like that, transcendental things. And being at the University of California, we were starting to investigate LSD and the effects of those things. Some more subtle states of consciousness and so on. And Indian philosophy, yoga, so many things. I started graduate school, and my professor said, yeah, you're not going to be able to research any of these things until you're at least 45 years old. And so if you have any courage, you'll take off and go straight to India. I do it, but I'm not that man anymore. Sleep on the ocean. So I had a kind of speech like that, and black belt looking out in karate. I don't know a lot about prana, which I can't explain in terms of Western science. And then eventually I got Prabhupada's book. somehow, Krishna, I read it for 1 year, wow, it was just amazing. I had no contact with Prabhupada or devotees, just the book by itself was just, so many things I come in contact with. And then devotees, I went to the temple, I initiated in 74, and I was living there, pretty much really brahmacharya and sannyas and stuff. And I started working with Bhaktivedanta Institute, which was kind of, I didn't want to do it because I'd already been through science, okay, but Tamal Krishnamaj told me that Prabhupada said over and over again for his entire last year, the scientific preaching is my #1 preaching program. Okay. So I found out how to fit in. Because I didn't go beyond the bachelor's degree, and people like Swami, so many people, they had their PhDs, and they could talk in the specific areas about evolution and genetics and all these kind of things. So, but yeah, remember, once you go on, you become more and more specialized. Until really, when you get your PhD in science, it's probably maybe like 4 or 5 people on the whole planet that can really understand what you're talking about. It becomes very specialized. Bhagavad Gita calls this knowledge in the mode of ignorance. To know tremendous about one little thing. The sociologist says an expert is somebody who never makes the smallest mistake as he proceeds towards the grand illusion. Everything details perfectly about, oops, I fly the plane perfectly, but I end up in the wrong city. But I work perfectly. It's just technician. So the Bhaktivedanta Institute we were working with Nobel laureates and different people, yeah, many times. We have a lot of perspective. Just like our bhava, our consciousness, perspective, our attitude. In the mode of ignorance, the soul, the Atma, is absorbed into the material energy, external energy, and it becomes absorbed in grosser and grosser aspects. Until finally, you become bacteria, these things. How much of your body can you enjoy all of? What percentage of your body can you enjoy all of?
The tongue? The tongue?
The ears, your hair, no? You're going to have 20% or 2% of your tongue. But if you become a bacteria, yeah. So why do you become a bacteria? Yeah, sacs, everything. You're absorbed. So this is kind of the Vedas, Buddhism, other traditions, Christianity, they're talking about these things to various degrees, at different levels of knowledge. Some people are very, very primitive, they have others who have very simple relationships. One level of chimpanzees, really, very primitive, still some places. The money for it was being there, the tribal people there. Sometimes, there's very simple language and other daily people. The dogs and wolves society, right? With their packs and the other chimpanzee, psychology, has intelligence of about a 5-year-old child. That's the ability. But if you could be a 35-year-old, 5-year-old child. So a lot of experience. The logical ability. Yeah. They get you in the morning, they're angry, and fight you, and later on in the afternoon, they'll apologize. Right? They'll feel guilty. You can see the animals, dogs and stuff, they feel guilty about things and stuff. And so there's some idea of higher psychological care or responsibility. So what we're doing with Krishna consciousness, we have Gaudiya Vaishnavism, right? It talks about ethics, morality, aiming towards self-realization, gradually. And there's so many different groups. She Sampradaya. add to this that I'm also using hearing aids. So the hearing aids are using another effect. See, I have my hearing as well. It's very difficult. It is almost impossible to talk with these. But are you getting an echo when I talk this fast? Can you understand what I'm saying? Kind of, I can't. So I'm using hearing aids. Cognac. No? No, it's okay. It's not my problem. You can't adjust it. Okay, don't believe me. Think I'm a liar. Or a fool. I'm using hearing aids. Do you understand? So what? It has a different equalizer than you're using, right? What does a hearing aid do for equalizing? It increases the high-pitched notes. And also the volume. Okay. If I put it on the happy volume, it's called the happy volume. There we go, now it's happy volume. Okay. I think one lower than that. My God, okay. Meanwhile, back at the monkeys. Chimpanzees, 5-year-old children. So there's so many different possibilities of realization. Who am I? One level is like an animal, right? It gives the example that in the zoo, we have bears, right? In the zoo. And the bears are very bored, like that. So at night they go into a little cave-like place and lock them up or something, They come out, they got a place, maybe three times the size of this area, and people walking by looking at them. And so what they started doing some years ago is they started hiding the food under rocks and putting it up in trees and stuff. So then the bears would come out, and they had all day they would try and figure out how to climb a tree. And actually it became, with the keeper bears, the zookeepers and stuff, it started to be kind of like a game and a challenge and stuff, And the bears became very happy, right? This is life. Spending all day trying to figure out how to get food. And once a year, a little romance. Looking at the other bear. So it's an anamaya, with the level of food. Everybody's born that way. All of us were in anamaya as children. We're just conscious of drinking milk, eating food, and you identify with the world. This is everything here. Next level is pranamaya, and that happens about 2 years old. So you have the terrible twos. It calls you the terrible twos. And this is when you begin to realize that I am not the world. I am this body. To step up bodily consciousness. At that age, when after children defecate, you have to see the excrement go down. You cut the hair. It's World War III. We try and cut the hair. So I am this body, but where does it end? Where does it start? Okay. And of course, many animals, that's as high as they go. I am this body, certain reactions. The next level, anamaya, pranamaya, and then manomaya. Okay, a little boy can do that, but not a little girl. A Western guy can do that, but not an Indian. This is monodharma. And I belong to this society, this community, this kind of thing. And it's, of course, many people. That's the way they live. And above monodharma is jnanamaya. It's like Socrates, or Shakyamuni, Confucius. Then you begin basically to understand that there are so many people are similar. You go beyond your national company, your tribe, and they can realize that, fundamental principles. There's somebody in control. And Anandamaya is where we realize the personal relationship with God. And so different people are preaching different cultures and different philosophy. Of course, Christianity is trying to present Anandamaya, right? That there is a God, you can have a personal relationship with Him. But how many branches of Christianity are there? The Encyclopedia Britannica lists over 10,000 different kinds. How many kinds of Hinduism are there? Yeah. Is the word Hindu a Hindu word? It's not even, it's an Arab word. It's not Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma. So many different kinds of, even transcendental systems which talk about what is confidential knowledge. See, Bhagavad Gita is presenting everything. That's why it's one of the three most famous, important books in Vedic culture. Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads. Okay. So what is the first thing that Krishna teaches Arjuna? It's called, because the Vedas won't solve his problems. He just has to fight with his family, all these things. He just doesn't see any way to solve the problem. I don't want to fight with Bhishma and Drona, but I can't just walk away. What do I do? Sisters, Teham, Sadham, Papanam. So what does Krishna first teach? He teaches confidential knowledge, which is not described mostly in the Vedas. The Vedas talk about how to get things, rituals, how to be proper. So what is the confidential knowledge? There's Atma. That assumes that assumes Chan, that we are different than the body. And also that we're different than each other. Right? Yeah, all the Atmas. And then Jyoti, before that, Maya Sarvati Karmani. Krishna talks about what is the material nature, what is karma, what is the individual soul, self-realized souls like Janak and others. Okay. But then it says, Maya Karmani Sarvati. I am different. Jopi son of Jopi son of Look at the fourth chapter. The third chapter begins a couple of phrases. The fourth chapter is making very clear. I am different than the self-realized souls. I am different than all souls. I am the Paramatma. The Pandavas come out of hiding. They go to Hastinapur. And externally, everybody's receiving them nicely. Oh, Kunti, you showed up with some children. How nice. They are the natural inheritors of the throne, not my children. How good to see you, Kunti. So everybody knows that there's this desire for peaceful annihilation of everybody. So Krishna sends a Kura, right, to talk with everybody and see. He's the commander-in-chief of Upasena, so he can talk on an equal level with Dhritarashtra and man. And he sees everything that's happening, and he's finally tells Dhritarashtra, he said, unless you treat the sons of Pandu properly, there's going to be a whole problem like that. And Dhritarashtra says, thank you for your free advice. Like that. And he says, I know these things. He says, I know there is Dharma. I know that the world works on ethical and moral principles. There's not just a ghost body. I know that men and women, marriage, all these things, introducing people properly, they exist. These are rules about how things act and so on, the psychological level, the social level. So I know there is Dharma, karma, Dharma. And he says, I know when Dharma is not functioning properly, it takes a human form and walks the earth. And I know that the son of Devaki is that Dharma taken a human form. And I know that my sons are adharmic. But I just cannot give up my attachment. I have this detachment in my heart, even though I know these things, I'm trying to find some way, to beat the system. That was his consciousness. Karna had a different consciousness, perspective, and one of the few people who didn't have some idea about Krishna's transcendence was Duryodhana and his followers. Yeah. Karna knew, but he was also trapped, right? He was trapped in this particular thing. He said there's going to be a big battle, and there'll be beating of drums and the flashing of flags and brilliant swords, and there'll be blood and death. And you are the cause of it all. I know these things. So very elevated people. If you want good food, you take in Europe. If you want good machines in Europe, you take birth in Germany. If you want romance, you take birth in France. If you want what's the word? Tricky espionage and cunning, England. Okay. You want good court system and everything clean. It's a whole story in Switzerland, food, everything. But if you're interested in philosophy, you take birth in India. Yeah. And the Encyclopedia Britannica has all the countries, their geography, their history, their culture, so many things, different countries. Only one country do we find that it talks about the philosophy of that country. And it's not even a part of the intro on India. It's a separate article in the Britannica. India philosophy of, Prabhupada says you only take birth in India if you were interested in spiritual life in your previous life. So if you're going around trying to get people to support the temple Indians, they say, I'm not interested in these things. I don't care about these things. You say, you're an Indian. All right. If you $10 spoken out. Yeah. So it's the karma, the desire, Tamasi Gam, whether to go to your Gam, Tamasi Gam. So different cultures, different people. Some people are interested in living like animals, some people are interested in different things. So our karma takes us different places like that, our consciousness. So anyway, that's why we're here. We're taking advantage of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who's coming in Sampradaya from Madhvacharya, who's coming in Brahma Sampradaya. So it's a specific heritage. Christianity has its whole heritage. Are Christians Jews? Is Buddha a Hindu? Buddhism comes out of Hinduism. Christianity comes out of Judaism. No other place. And then Judaism, what's its history? They say God created the universe and this and that. They have their cosmology and their scriptures, their books and stuff. And there's investigation about what is the history of Judaism, because there were many other religions. We have the word religion, right? It's two words, re, ligare. Religion, re, ligare. What are these? No, the ones. Ligament. Re, ligare. So religion is that which reconnects. What is yoga? So yoga, it's the same concept, same idea, the same perspective. The human beings are trying to do this. Science is trying to find the cause of everything. What is our place in the universe? And so many different philosophies. You can become God. My guru has gone through all one. Baba Ramdas, guy. He was following Nim Karoli Baba. And he said, my guru, Nim Karoli Baba, he's gone through all these stages. He describes them very nicely. And since I said, you come to this high platform, and you have to have a guru to take you through. So my guru, Nim Karoli Baba, he's gone there, and now he's enjoying sex with every part of the universe at every moment. Wow. This conclusion, you become the supreme enjoyer. You will all become Shambhu. What is the conclusion? We're saying, Jivera, Swami, Boy, Krishna, and Nityaras. Many different sampradayas, groups, and so on in India. Mark Twain, Mark Twain, American philosopher, whatever. He went around the world with a couple friends. One newspaper in New York was syndicating it, and would write letters back. So it was very interesting. We got to India. It's very interesting. He was there maybe for like 2 months or something. And one of his conclusions was, there are two of the moments. He said, India is that country, once having seen it, you wouldn't trade it for all the circuses in the world. This is 1850 or something, 1810. And then he said, in religion, India is the only millionaire in religion. So even people, very authentic Western people, somebody appreciating different values like that. So okay, so we are presenting here, in case you're interested, Brahma, Madhava, Gaudiya, and tradition, Sampradaya. And yeah, we're not different than Madhvacharya in so many ways. We're not different than the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. We're declaring that we're based on the Vedas, right? Okay. So many things the same. All the Vedic literatures describe the Atman as being different than the body. Okay, that's different than other cultures. Christian cultures, modern, not in the past, but almost since the beginning, Christian and Islamic cultures say that the body is the self, and later on it will be raised up. And so we don't destroy the body, right? Because else we don't pierce the body, because you have to go to heaven with holes in your body. So different ideas. So, and of course the Lord Chaitanya is Namo Mahavadangaya, Krishna Prema Parayate. The Swami says you're the most generous person because you're given what no other incarnation has given. Lord Brahma is trying to create the universe. He needs Swami Brahmani and Satarupa to produce biological children. He's producing children from his mind, Shiva, the Kumaras, these kind of things. But it's going too slow. So we need biological reproduction. So everybody will have a body to satisfy their desires. But they can't do it because Varaha, Naksha, and they've stolen the earth. They've submerged it. So then, oh my God, no anxiety. So out of his nose comes a little pig, right? Out of our noses comes something else. But out of his nose comes a little pig. Quite bigger. Save the earth, okay. And then all the demigods that offer prayers and glorify Lord Varaha for saving the earth. And they said, and now you're going, right? Now you're going to go, right? Because they're devotees, but they want, be devotees to get something out of it. How many of us join this club? Because, it's a great, wonderful association, so many things. Are you going to go to Vaikuntha? Are you going to go to Indraloka, Maharaja? Where are we going to go? So Lord Chaitanya is offering these things. Srimad Bhagavatam is offering these things. But the Srimad Bhagavatam goes above Mahavishnu Loka. It goes above Vaikuntha. It goes above Mathura. It goes above Dwarka. It goes, to Vrindavan. And then the Panchadhyaya Vasula, it goes to, Madhurya Ras. So very special opportunity. I mentioned before in the Bible. In the Bible there's one book, it's called the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs. And it starts off and it says, kiss me with the kiss of your lips. And it goes on talking. It's very erotic and sensuous. That's in the Bible. So one Christian Saint San Bernardino, the Clare Group, St. Bernard of Clear Valley, maybe, 1405 or something. His disciple was the Pope, which is always, So anyway, one time in the monastery, he had the brothers there, and he said, okay, now we're going to talk about the Song of Solomon, about these things. And he said, I wouldn't start doing it unless I knew that you had been purified of lust of the body, by studying Ecclesiastes, and you have to purify the lust of the mind by studying Proverbs, fame, honor, dignity. So now you're ready to talk about this more advanced spiritual things. So he said, yes, it's possible to kiss the lips of God. He said, but before that, there's two other kisses. The kiss of the feet and the kiss of the hand. He said, as far as I'm working, as far as I'm doing, I'm still trying to perfect the kiss of the feet. You know what I mean? Yeah. So basically, Sambandha, please forgive me, I have so many rotten things, thank you for helping me, taking me back. It's a connection. You're the master again. Avideya, okay, now I can control myself, I have to be careful, I can do things like that, I can worship Radha and Krishna, but I don't have to control my mind. So he talks about these things. It's in the Bible, it's in Christian tradition, but it's not in the very public. And also in Plato, it discusses the same thing. He doesn't discuss Radha and Krishna, he discusses Koros and Kore. And when he went to Rome, they became Goran and Arinta. So anyway, Lord Chaitanya is, in general, with the Brahmins, we discuss Bhagavad Gita. The ordinary people just kirtan and prasad, kirtan and prasad. The Brahmins, Bhagavad Gita, and then very confidential, more confidential people, then these different rasas and so on like that. So it's hard, what we're presenting, different things for different people. We advertise Rath Yatra as an Indian festival and good food and good music and, fine, wonderful. People have to start in different places. So, Krishna ki baat mein kuch baat nahi hai. Hum mandir ja rahe hain. So I've kind of covered everything here now. Don't be shocked.
So, Maharaj, I have this question. Like, there are various stages that the devotee goes through, like from novice to advanced. And then only we hear that only in advanced stages we should hear about the confidential pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So, how do we know that are we ready there yet, or we should, what is the criteria,
The Krishna, again and again, in so many places, Christian saints, psychologists, ethical and moral people, they all give a hierarchy of values we're talking about. We don't chastise a dog, for becoming crazy about his food. When you give a dog his food, you stand back. There's a sword, okay, his dog. So there's all these different hierarchies on, on gross levels and levels, transcendental levels, and so on. And if you come in contact with, say people, they're starting to explain these things, because different people on different levels, and we have to understand our level, for why we're taking a certain kind of medicine, and if we're going to help other people, we gotta, we have to understand what's going to happen ahead of us. And yes, almost always, like you're learning tennis, right? The instructor will take you to some really advanced games, the world tennis competitions, or something. You see these people, and it's like, wow, what for soccer is good stuff, right? This is not like ordinary human beings don't play soccer like this. Of course you want to go ahead and advance. We do see things that are ahead of us, and we can begin to experience it. It motivates us, and so on. But we understand, they get there by practicing these basic skills and this kind of stuff. So at some point we get a good teacher, we develop faith in our teacher, we get guru. God, Jehovah expands as Jesus Christ, and watching you sing. And it's called Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha,
Bhajana Kriya,
Vajna Kriya,
Anartha
Anartha Nivritti,
Nishtha,
Nishtha, Ruchi,
Asakti,
Asakti, Bhava,
Prem.
Prema. Pretty much Kalista Adhikari is up to Vajna Kriya, and then Majna Adhikari up to Bhava, and then Utti Adhikari starts with Bhava. And different stages. So you can look, you can get receiving scripture from Guru, association with devotees in a certain point, you can say, okay, this is where I'm at. Okay, Adoshana. Okay, somebody says, your sister or somebody says, I got this book and I hear about Hare Krishna, and I think they're interesting. Yeah, let's go together on Sunday. You say, well, okay, I'll go, but if it's not nice, I won't go again. Adoshana. Well, faith, a little bit of, determination. So you come and you meet the people, and you meet the acharya, and different people in different levels of the group, and you begin to think, oh, these are pretty nice people. And so I want to associate with them, and hear from them, learn from them. So this is a Adoshana, Sadhu Sangha. Okay, and after a while you begin to think, okay, it's like I visited different universities, I see what you're teaching. Okay, this is the career I want. I want to focus and I want to get some work done here. So Bhajana Kriya. And then that's the Diksha. You formally matriculate into the school. So that's what it is. And you matriculate in, okay, I have a law degree, a science degree, medical degree. Okay, I want to go for law. And this school is closed, whatever. Okay, so this is Sandy, you can matriculate. We don't care if you go into an authentic Christian tradition or anything else. So in our contract, I was acting as Diksha Guru for many years. And I've given it up because you can't have the karma. You're taking karma. So our contract, the one I was using from Bala's books, Upadeshamrita, is Bala saying, if you chant 16 enthusiastic rounds a day, we promise that step by step you will be elevated to the platform of the Maharaja. Okay. So it's a very clear process. If it's not happening, you're not elevated. There's no blind faith. You don't want blind faith. You don't like blind faith. But you know what's happening in your life. Okay. So there's the process, and that's Vajna Kriya. And by doing that, then your bad habits go away, you stop wasting time. Terminator 25, I don't know what these Indians watch, some Indian movies. So an artist go away, grows an artist. This is like taking gold. If you take gold and you wash it very carefully, you can hammer it into plates and stuff. But there's still some discoloration in it because inside it's still mixed with different alloys and so on. So all the artists don't really fully go away until Bhava. When you melt the gold, then you can drive off the different alloys and stuff. But basically, you can use it in Arta Nivritti. Okay? Next. Nishta. Okay, now you're always chanting around, always getting up, always following the process. Okay, Nishta. And because of that, then you start to get a taste of spiritual life. The beginning of your taste is liberation from material activities. That's not a taste, that's freedom. But initially, you actually start to experience, ruchi, and some of the feelings of. You begin to distinguish Ram Lila from Krishna Lila, and different feelings like that. And of course, it's a curve, because maybe on Nishta coming into ruchi, then we can start doing Raganuga Bhakti, trying to follow the ruchi of somebody, right? They won't mistake it for material stuff, and they can improve. And so all these levels are there. Right? And again, maybe you're a Nishta, for once every 5 years you get a little taste of prema. I mean, you see Radhakund for one moment, and Radhakund is like, maybe every now and again, every 5 years you just have some really heavy doubts in it. But, okay. and then Nishta, coming into Ruchi. And there's again, different process, different things are happening to advance at different levels. Okay? That's drama.
I don't know if there's much to explore, but I don't even know if I'm just quibbling over a term with this question, but kind of to spin off a little bit on your question. And we hear often about being qualified to hear the confidential pastimes. Are we qualified to hear it? It seems, more or less like a self-analysis. If am I qualified to hear? Ask myself that question. But I don't know if I'm completely missing a giant point. But do we hear who is qualified to speak of these? We hear about we're qualified to hear, but qualified to speak on subjects. Is that is that casual thing friends discuss whimsically over lunch? Is this more formal? You know where I'm going?
This chair is weird. It's a really chair. Yeah, a lot worse. For example, one should not go beyond the first two cantos of the Bhagavatam, the Lotus Feet of Krishna, unless one is free from gross illicit sex. Okay? This description. I was coming out of this whole hippie culture. Sometimes it was, if I told you some of the things that happened in hippie culture, your hair would stand on end. No, but it's all over the world, there are different things happening like that. And otherwise it was very good. There was Prabhupada's customers, people that were coming and taking with hippies. Now it's software engineers. No more hippies left. But no, it was a very, really good aspect. And there's different philosophers like Marshall McLuhan and Carl Jung and Prabhupada were given this opportunity. People coming and taking advantage of the culture. So anyway, I was coming out of all these things and trying to start following the four principles and these kind of things. And I was wondering, can I do this? And in those days, there wasn't a lot of sophisticated, developed philosophy amongst people that were devotees. And Prabhupada was the only devotee in Islam in many ways, San Francisco. So but anyway, I was coming out of this whole culture where intoxication, gambling, that was the goal of life, everything else and so forth. So trying to come out of it different ways. Okay, so then somebody gave me the third canto, right? The third canto describes Devahuti and Karamamuni and how they're getting married and enjoying celestial sense gratification. It's like really can't even talk about here what they were doing, some of this stuff, right? Yeah, but it was all totally religious. They were experimenting with these things within the prescribed system. And as a result of following this Dharma, they came to the conclusion this doesn't work. They had unbelievable sense gratification, right? But they would just say, okay, maybe if we tried it, it doesn't work. Let's put full effort into the next level now. Yeah, that does work. And the more you go on, the more you become convinced about the details of, sensuous life. Okay. But on the other side, there's Kapila describing hell, right? And the third canto goes into, what happens if you do sinful things and all this kind of stuff. Don't follow the four principles. The Hare Krishna hell is worse than the Muslim hell or the Christian hell. And when they get into it, it's an Hindu again. It's like, if you're engaged in simple activities, cheating people, exploiting women, all these kind of things, when you die, the Hanumat can just come and settle ropes and pull you out of your anus or something out of your body in a subtle form. And then on the way to hell, there are dogs with teeth like steel biting at your feet, and you're hunger and thirst, and they beat you, and you can't stop. And there are envious, wicked women torturing you. And this is on the way to hell, before you can get there. So, I was just coming out of this culture, and I wasn't sure, my God, can I stick with this or not? So this was really intense, it wasn't, it's being described as reality and stuff. I know people that they've been devotees, and then after a while they decide they want to be Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Because Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons. So that's an example, where Prabhupada was qualified to present it, and people in the temple more experienced than myself who were like, just happy, following the four principles. There was just like no reason to go back. This is a better life. Okay. And so and I could see where I was at, and maybe it's possible. Let me go on here. And then becoming more and more seasoned and other stuff. Maharaja wrote before he was they were all new devotees. He wrote to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, I'm having agitation from sex desire. What should I do? And he said, you should read about Krishna's dealing with the gopis in the 10th canto. And after some time he wrote back to Prabhupada again, and he said, sometimes it works when I read about these things, and it's like, at least somebody is enjoying sex. Whatever. Other things too. He said, but other times it only makes me more lusty. And Prabhupada said, use your sense. When it's making you more lusty, stop. When it's making you, So you just try it out. What's happening? And there are. We have very, very advanced literature. But again, you don't have to read that in this life even, right? If we're following properly, we can go to Mahavishnu Loka. Mahavishnu Loka is the first place beyond the material world. Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shiradakshay Vishnu, these two paramatmas don't exist except in the material world for guiding us. When there's no material manifestation, they merge back into Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is there forever. We have, when the curtains open, we have the Govinda prayers. Govindam Adipurusham Namalam Bhajami. This is Mahavishnu Loka, it's Shantaras, but it keeps on going forever. It's like the 7 o'clock arti, but it never stops. It goes on and on and on and on and on. In the Bible talks about this, the angels singing the glories of God. Yeah, it is. It's just Shantaras, it is. But then other things happen at the higher level. Okay, now I want to do some positive service, not just appreciate how great you are. So you're hearing about it, and as we're following the principles, we become more and more uncovered. And we're discovering more and more sensitivity, more natural yearning. All we're doing is waking up, right? It's not something that we're injecting or just, creating through evolution. No, the whole process is waking up. So as we wake up, then we can begin to see, that's what I want. So somebody may just be very attracted to Sakyras, the cowherd boys, as you become purified. Okay? So good luck. Tomorrow morning, I have to leave for the airport at 3:30 in the morning. Maybe we're going to start heading back to this call. Okay. Here it is.
yesterday. Thank you for coming to Seattle, giving wonderful classes of marriage.
Yeah. Listen, for me, it's been very nice. It's stimulating. Father says in the first stage, they will laugh at you. They will laugh at you. Oh, Hare Krishna. Okay. So in the second stage, they'll start to throw rocks at you. These guys are serious. The third stage, they'll start to respect you and ask questions and expect leadership and examples. So we're coming to that stage now. Coming all over the world, we're starting to acquire power and influence. And there's new challenges. When they're attacking you, there's one level of thing, but now it's even more dangerous. And the number of, it's an unlimited number of deviations in our history. Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Some are very big and some are very subtle. There are many religions that talk about conscious love of God or these things, but it's not emphasized. What's it called? The Satyanarayana Puja, right? I think it's from the, what's it from? Satyanarayana Puja is from, which Puran? Skanda Puran. Maybe it's Skanda Puran. But it's Trijarshik. So it's talking about being a proper person, being upright, having your children with you for a long time. And by the way, the people who really did it, they became Dasara, they all became us, but it's not emphasized. So this can be like that, can something like that. So we have to be careful, going into the third stage, power and influence. So I thank everybody very much, and I wish you all success. These walls need a lot more decoration. One simple thing, architect will tell you, about waist high, line that goes all the way around. You can see the effect, right? It can be little cows, which is another color. And you've got two colors, you've got four, you've got brown, red, and yellow. Okay. So if you put a little more brown, you see right away everything starts to improve. There's so much work. So right now it's kind of like a garage or something, right? A garage. It becomes a spiritual work. Already a nice work, huh? The children do such nice work back there. Turn the loose here. Okay. She's all fine, keep on. Mama, keep going. Back home, back to God.
Haribol! Haribol! Haribol!